Hello everybody. So today I'm going to be reading a podfic from Arcane, the TV show on Netflix. I was planning on reading this last week, but I got sick. So I'm reading it this one, and it's for the second season release. I haven't watched it yet, so please don't give me any spoilers, but I'm really excited to watch it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. A Scarlet Letter by itscryptidtime. Read by Munchin on Muchiko. Summary. What if Vi wrote Jinx a letter during her time in prison? What do you do when you lose everything that's ever mattered to you? Or what did you do when you lost everything? Questions I've always wanted to ask, but decided against time and time again. Not sure if I ever want to hear the answer, knowing everything that's happened, being there, witnessing it, death everywhere, blood on my hands, blood on my sister's hands. Knowing she did something that she can never, ever undo. Turning to me on her knees and weeping, "Please, please, I need you," like a little sister does when seeking guidance and comfort from the older. Like someone once loyal, desperate to make things right after a betrayal. That's when I left. I couldn't take it, couldn't accept it. I didn't recognize her. That little girl that hurt me so. That little girl I hurt because I, too, was once a little girl that was hurt. But I knew better, being the older one, the one that was supposed to provide comfort, love, despite it all. And I couldn't accept that the same blood that runs through my veins, I've made the same mistakes that she did, tenfold. I put it all on her, my blood. Made sure she knew it when I struck her, shouted at her, and called her a jinx. Why did you leave me? The words echoed in my head, bounced off the cold walls in the cell I sat in, kept in still water. I wanted to ask her the same question. Why did you go with him? Soko is the last person you should be turning to, Powder. It should have been me. Why didn't you wait for me to come back? What would Vander think? But I already made my choice at that point. I already walked off. It was too late. She was too far gone and no longer recognized me as the person she loved. I didn't have the right to question her. Silko would be the one to take her under his wing, to show her what it meant to be loved, truly loved and seen, protected. He came and picked up the broken pieces of the vessel that held my Powder, put it back into the vessel I broke because I didn't know how to hold it, didn't know how to let go, or because I didn't know how to love properly. It crushed under the weight of my hands, of my love, my heart and soul, so heavy, so dirty. It was that pressure that made her vessel cave in and left cuts all across my fingers. It hurt. It hurt so bad. But I still hold on to those shards, held on to her, knowing she was hurting me, not caring, so long as she knew that I was holding on to her and that she was happy, even if it was my own determent. Little did I know, I was hurting her because I was hurting myself. She wasn't happy. She was looking for an escape from my shadow. I knew she's always been afraid of the dark, yet I thought nothing of it. I became the thing she was afraid of when I could have shed light on the situation, made things easier in the moment, instead of subjugating myself to countless nights spent alone, where I'd be squinting through my blurry red eyes, puffy from endless tears. looking for her, wondering where she was. Why wasn't she at my side on my birthday? Why am I in here? Why am I cold, hungry, alone? Do I deserve this for what I did? Love wasn't supposed to hurt like this. Love wasn't supposed to hurt like this. I repeated those things to myself as I rocked back and forth on the cold jail cell floor, either as a reminder for myself or as a desperate plea to God that won't listen. I don't know. All I know is that I didn't have to say yes to any of it. To the idea that bringing her along rations, getting her to steal all kinds of trouble, Milo and Clagger, didn't think twice about would it be a good idea. I didn't want to put her at risk, and I knew that, yet I did it anyway. I didn't think I had a choice at the time. I was raised in the city that made you believe that's all you would be. Zonite dirt, deemed unworthy of consideration, deprived of choice. You learn to roll with the punches in a place like this, to survive, even if survival meant putting yourself on the line. But everything's a choice, I'm learning, and I made the choice to leave Powder behind. I need you to sit this one out, Powder. It was for her own good. It was for protection. So I agreed to be a part of the greater good, not knowing that my family's lives were on the line, and that I'd left her alone in the end. Knowing that Powder would do what she did, not knowing that she'd feel so abandoned and so alone to the point of self-destruction, causing an explosion that killed everyone. Our family. So there she is, my little sister, left in the dark, confused and frayed and excluded from something I'd promised she'd eventually be a part of when she was ready. Either I underestimated her or I overestimated myself, thinking I'd be able to handle it when I was just as foolish, rushing in without thinking about how I'd be crushed under the weight of rubble myself, my arm broken, unable to move. Why did you leave me? She didn't understand at the time. There wasn't any way I could explain it to her without her lashing out at me. I get it now. I'm sorry. I hurt her. So now I listen to her screaming in my head every day while I suffer in silence. Because you're a jinx, was my answer. And if I were to ask that same question, ask her why she left me for him, she would probably say something along the lines of, because I'm a jinx, remember? And that's true. That's what I turned her into, isn't it? I was nothing but cold, callous, and controlling. All the blatant disrespect she learned was from my doing. The ignorance, the immaturity. Only hatred came through when I raised my voice and put my hands on her. Abusive. No excuse for it. No better than the man I called father, who also had his hands wrapped around his own brother's throat. And that's how it started. Trauma passed down to the next generation. Even so, it didn't matter how much I wanted to be heard, to be seen. After shouldering so much pain on my own, I should have been nicer. I should have loved you better. I should have taken you into my arms, held you close, and said, "It's okay." The moment I realized that I was what was going on behind the scenes, even in the midst of the ruins that surrounded us, just like all those times you did for me. Instead, I made the choice to be angry, to lash out, to be a hypocrite. So yes, I take full accountability for my actions, and yes, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of that. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect any sympathy or even a response in return if this letter doesn't end up finding you well. I know there's no excuse for it, but there are reasonings behind the behavior. I was no stranger to being treated like dirt my whole life. Being told I'd just be a junkie in the lanes if I wasn't held up to this cell by an enforcer was my last straw. I wasn't thinking. I grabbed him blindly, jostled him, shoved him this way and that through the bars until other enforcers came and intervened. I got myself into deeper shit because I snapped. I snapped, even though that very reason was what landed me here in the first place. Coming out of it and realizing what I did was the most daunting part. Realizing that salvation was well out of my reach because I fucked up. I was triggered into a frenzy. I was unstable, reckless. Now with even more years added to my sentence. With a long history of fighting off and fleeing from people that made me feel less than, it was inevitable. It doesn't make it right, but I know that. I know what I did. I proved him right by acting out the way I did. Just another no-good Zonite criminal, a junkie, like the rest of them. Funny enough, though, there was some truth to his statement. I called out for her, for Powder. I cried for her. They'd scoff and chalk me up to being an addict, yelling out for substance of some kind. Maybe I am. Maybe they're right, and that's all I'll ever be. Maybe I don't know when to quit. No amount of yelling was ever going to get her back to me. I learned that the hard way. And there the man stood, with his scarred face and mutilated eye just outside my cell, looming over me like a constant reminder of the way I ruined us. His presence dull yet foreboding. His irises sharp, gentle, blue-eyed, and an angry red. "Here's your chance," he said, voice flat and unyielding in his cold stare as he tossed the pen and paper through the steel bars, unamused, as if it wasn't worth his time, as if he was running an errand he was reluctant to do. "You do realize this is a mistake, right? You gain nothing from this. You're making a fool of yourself." He didn't give me the chance to respond. He walked away after that, but I knew. I knew the risk I was taking by reaching out after the things I did to you, the things I said, the trauma I dealt you, the finality of the last words I said to you. Reopening old wounds, as in the guilt I felt for striking Powder the way I did, risking hurting her all over again with my recklessness when all I wanted to do was protect her. Isn't that so pathetic? So backwards. Powder didn't need protection when she was perfectly strong and capable. She didn't need me, even when she was wailing for me. I thought she did, but I was wrong. She didn't need comfort from a person who hurt her. Still, I was on my hands and knees, just like her, begging for the chance to right my wrongs. Yet when given the opportunity, I hesitated. Maybe what he said resonated with me. Maybe I was just trying to get in my head. Maybe this letter won't even see the light of day. So, at the risk of feeling dumb, I got to writing. I don't know if this will ever make it to you, but I just wanted you to know that I always loved you. I appreciate the times we spent together. It will always hold a place in my heart. I understand what we did to each other, and I'm sorry. I never meant for any of these things I said, and I know it doesn't make any of it okay. I was just scared, unsure of myself and what to do next. Desperate, angry, and alone to the point of taking it out on you. You deserved better. Genuinely. and so did I. I can't forgive you without also forgiving myself and acknowledging my own pain in the process. The position I was put in wasn't fair. I wasn't supposed to take you on that kind of role when I wasn't ready, but the pressure of life and survival was inevitable. I tried, even if there was no one on my side. I had to figure out how to cope with the situation and the loneliness that came with it, and I still do. It wasn't easy, but I still tried. And I'm sure you could say the same thing. We both came from poor circumstances, but at least I know you're safe and that you're in better hands now. My family's gone, dead, along with the person I once was, the person that you were. But the love that we shared is real. I thought we'd be together forever, but in a place like the Undercity, I should have known better. I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility. I was naive, wishful thinking got me to where I am now, and I know that love just isn't enough. I know I was supposed to die in that explosion, like the rest of them. I was supposed to die and never be seen again, but I became a different person instead, adapted to change, even if it came at the cost of my old self. From a blur to a smear of ink, I survived, despite how unfair things turned out to be for me. I was blurry at first, like shimmer held in a vial, brimming with violet. Now, I'm just Vi, a vigilante some days, viable other days, violent. Until forever ends, you once said, smiling at the words I left etched in the wooden box I gifted you for our first Christmas together. Now it's quiet. Now I don't get to hear your voice anymore, expressing fondness for the gifts I gave you. I don't get to experience Christmas with you anymore, but at least I got a taste of what forever would have been like. Until forever ends. I turn those words over in my head a lot of these days. I hold your drawings, your notes, and your pictures in my hands, wondering what it was all for. I still see visions of you in the forms of fleeting blurs, dreams I wake up in cold sweats from. Forever might have ended, but it's still something that's going to stick with me until the end of time, like the ink on my skin. Those tattoos that hurt like hell to get, but made me feel alive. How I smear the black paint on my face just before getting ready to go back into the pit, muddying the waters of my identity and intentions on purpose, just so I don't recognize myself and the person I became. New day, new fight, same old shit. Same old shitty mattress I sleep on every night. Every day's a battle, but I do what I do to get by. I can't complain because at least I'm free. I'm alive. Even if he tried to kill me in your mind, even if the jinx you consider yourself, the jinx I made you like, wants me dead and long gone. I get it. Trust me, I do. I don't blame either of you. Regardless, I do hope you're happier, wherever you are. Even if you're not at war with yourself, just know you're not alone in that struggle. I'll always be your paladin, your blood, someone that loves you even on the days you hate yourself for what you did. It's okay. I know that feeling well. We're gonna be okay. Thank you for everything. Powder, you're always going to be my sister. Whatever happens, I know you'll always be, and I'll always be here. No matter how many times you try to strike me down, or what war you decide to wage against me topside. I know one day I can see those baby blue eyes of yours light up again. They've always been the highlight of my day. Maybe one day, far away from here on a shoreline. One day. Until forever ends. Bye. So that was the fic. I really like the idea of this where like Vi writes a letter to Powder while in prison and like referencing everything that she's done. I don't know. I just think it's such an interesting concept and I wish there was more fics like this, but I couldn't really find any of them. I also really like how the author put Vi, if that makes sense. Like I like her motivations for everything and the ways that she's like talking about things. It kind of feels pretty in character for her. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed and I will see you next time.